Hi, and welcome to our channel. I'm Donnie, and this is Linda, and this is our dog Roxy. We want to invite you to follow our adventures as we build out our van and travel the country on our social media channels and website. Vacay 24/7, 365. But anyway, so we're going to start working on the electrical since we finished up the plumbing stuff yesterday. So I'm going to show you what kind of iterations we went through. After watching a million videos, brain's always going faster than the pen can write, so I don't want to hear comments about my crappy handwriting. Some days it looks really pretty. I guess it depends on how my brain's doing. Anyway, started out like this. So this basically said, hey, here's my layout, my batteries, here's all the stuff I'm gonna need that's 12 volt, kind of just jotting stuff down. The solar, the controller, I got to get a Cat 5 cable, 120. Then it went from there to, okay, it's going to come in from solar, go to a switch, go to my controller. That's going to then go to a surface mount Tocus 50 amp switch, which I put T50 on all my stuff just so I didn't have to write all these words, to the bus bar. Then I'm going to go from the bus bar to this, to this, to this, to this. And I kind of just outlined everything. Then I took my board and I started laying things out so I could see where stuff is going to fit. I'm just going to throw this over here so it's out of the way. I can kind of see how things were going to lay out and was turning things different ways. Oh, I'll put this fuse box here. I'll put this. Oh no, then that cable is going to have to cross this one. Yada, yada, yada. Anybody that's seen Seinfeld will understand what yada, yada, yada means. Anyway, then it developed into this. Okay. This is actual layout of like the board. My rover controller's here. Then it was going to go to a switch. Then go to my bus bar, which was going to be sideways, up to my 12 volt panel, etc., etc. Didn't realize that was going to work very well because then when I started designing the second iteration, turn my bus bar like this, things laid out a little bit cleaner. So I laid it all out on the board. This is actually going to be mounted on the side of the bulkhead. This bottom rail right here, this is just my trim piece. Just wanted to give myself some clearance. That's actually going to go on the wall above the wheel well. This would be like the top of the wheel well. Once I got everything laid out, then we went to color. This is where it gets pretty, and I'll put this over here so I don't have to hold it as high. So everything in blue are just hard items. Got a red Sharpie. It's hard to write this and understand my handwriting, but anyway. So solar power is going to come in here. Power is going to go through here. It'll go into the charge controller. We'll clean the juice up. It will come out one of these, connect to here. This will then go to number 2, the second bus hole, which is right there. So it's gonna make a little curve up. And the reason I did that is I wanna leave this one right here, the bottom one, which is gonna go straight down to my batteries, which are gonna be below the wheel well to the left. And the cable coming in from the battery isolator is gonna be 10 gauge. So I'm gonna have that one and the one from my charge controller, which is a 6 gauge. I'm gonna have both those terminate on one because everything else is 2-aught cable, which is super heavy. So I'm gonna try to combine those, and I did the exact same thing on the negative too. You'll see that this one goes out to the controller, and then the other one goes up to my 12 volt. So I'll double those up. This will be a single, and a single. So anyway, we have our power come in, goes to controller, goes out to the bus bar, goes out to my 12 volt, which is grounded. Have one going out to my batteries. I have power coming in from the van, coming down, 10 gauge, going to go through a breaker, which is right here. And I did all these surface mounts just because they're really easy. And you can click them and reset them. I'll basically have all my on-off switches just boom, 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 all in a row. So it's really easy to work on. Oh, and that one. So I got power coming in from the van, going through that, going into my battery isolator, that then goes into the second port there. you can see that kind of line. Then we'll have juice coming out of the bus bar, going through a 500 amp inline circuit. Then that will again go to an on-off switch, so I can then turn it off if I need to work on the Victron 3000 charger inverter. Drawing a blank there, duh. And then that's pretty much it on the power side. Negative side, we're gonna have this hole right here will go out to the van as a permanent ground, according to my chart. This one will come down to the Victron. This one will go to the shunt, which then goes from here over. It'll come around and connect directly to the batteries down here. So this one will actually run around behind this wood and down. And that has to be uninterrupted. You can't have anything in the middle of that one. And then there'll be a little bitty power cable that goes here over to this bus bar that gets a little bit of information from the power. And then on this end one, I will have two cables, one going in the little side hole here for my 12 volt. And then the other one will go up, over, probably around, and come up to the negative. Or depending on how clean this looks, I might just run it across and down and under. So anyway, this is the design. This is the hopeful layout. We'll see once we start cutting cable how much and how flexible this 2/0 cable is. But I think I'd rather have little 2 and 3 inch short pieces than have super long cables and have everything all spread out. So less is more, and I kind of am going heavy on the cable side as much as I can. So anyway, we're gonna go, got to get my stupid rivet tool so I can mount this board into the van first. But I think we have a good layout, and I'm gonna take a picture of it on my phone to reference, just to make sure I got everything laid out exactly where I want it. So we'll see how this comes out. Talk to y'all soon. GoPro. All right. Today's a very exciting day. Linda is covered in powder. She looks like she's been invading El Chapo's warehouse. She's covered in white powder from sanding the roof where we had to spackle my little nail holes. But the most important thing is that our electrical is 99.9% done. I'm going to kind of walk y'all through this. This might be a little long, but it's going to kind of give you a detailed flow of how everything goes from beginning to end. So, okay, we got our batteries. I did doubled up on everything. I will do some screenshots. It says in the manual for the, let's show you this, Victron 3000 Multi-Plus for 12 volt, that you should double up. It says 2x per positive and negative. I use 2/0, which comes through there, and you'll see there's the negative. So anyway, I did double. So anyway, here's kind of a quick overflow of how everything comes in. So I got my power that comes in from my solar panels. The hot comes into a breaker. My panels aren't even up there yet, but anyway, so I can turn off my solar input by clicking here and just setting that off. My negative comes in, those 2 feet in here. This right here is a battery temperature sensor monitor that goes down and is placed in between your center batteries. Power comes out of this. I have it going through another breaker, which now I just cut off. So the power comes in from solar, goes through the charge controller, comes out of the charge controller, goes to the bus bar through a breaker so I can cut it off. I can cut power going to it. If I want power to go to it but don't want it to go out to the system from the solar panels, I can cut it off here. Ground goes to the negative bus bar. Okay, from the positive bus bar, I have an input down here coming from the battery of the van. It goes through a 200 amp circuit breaker. That's not connected right now either. But anyway, that turns off. That goes through this little battery isolator that again goes to the bus bar, which will then charge the batteries from the van. Solar comes in, goes through here, charges the batteries from the solar. Here's where it gets fun. Power coming out of the bus bar on a 6/0 cable goes to a breaker. You just heard it chirp. That is going to my 12-volt fuse box. So I can shut off my fuse box if I want to work on things. Power goes into it down here. The negative comes from the negative bus bar, goes in, connects at the top. And then under here is where my fuses will be. I'll show you. I can pull this thing off without breaking it. Apparently not with one hand. There we go. So these hot and colds go out to each different item on either different side, depending on what they are. I got them all labeled. Then I got the power coming off of the hot bus bar, goes through a 500 amp breaker, or it's not a breaker, it's actually a fuse. 2 double-aught going into an on-off switch, so I can turn on the power going to my Victron, or it's in the off mode right now, and then that goes into my Victron. And then my Victron also has this cable right here that comes out and goes to my 220. So in summary, solar comes in, gets cleaned up, goes to the bus bar, powers my batteries. Power comes in from the battery, goes through this switch, through a battery isolator to the bus bar, powers my batteries. So that's mainly the main two ways. I got solar and I got this. Okay. Then we also have, I'll also have like an extension, heavy duty extension cable that'll plug in here into the input on my Victron, which would then charge the batteries from shore power. And then on the negative side, you got negative coming in through here, goes to here, negative out to a bus bar. Have my Victron controller negatives go into here. This double goes to the shunt, which also has a battery monitor right here, which goes to a control panel that's going to be up in the front, so I can look at my system. Also has a battery monitor system, this little hot cable that goes here. This shunt comes with the Renogy Rover control panel, which looks like that little bitty box over there, if you can see that. It's probably about 4 inches by 2.5 inches. So basically that is it in summary. On the batteries, you want to do these where you start at one end, you have the negative goes to the next battery, to the next battery, to your Victron 3000 charge controller. On the opposite battery, not from wherever your ground comes in, this one I have my power coming in on this far one, my ground coming in on this one. This puts them in parallel. Goes from this battery to this battery, or actually from this battery to this battery, this one out to my hot bar. If I feel these cables are nice and cool, there's no load on them right now, but it's better to oversize. Each of those cables is rated at 600 volts. System's only doing 400 and I got double. So there's no way, well, knock on wood, there should be no way that should ever catch fire or get hot. I'm gonna put a picture, Josh with Pika Van Systems in Salt Lake uses a Fluor heat sensing camera, and he sent me some pictures of people that just use one single 2-aught, and you can see how their systems light up like a Christmas tree with the heat seeking thing. You can tell exactly where the weak spots are in their system. And he recommended go double. Can't hurt, cable's cheap, you're buying it in a big roll anyway. What's an extra 40-50 bucks and a couple crimpers and stuff. So I mean, I'm probably in an extra $100 for all this extra cable, lugs, shrink wrap, but as you can tell, that is so overkill and it looks so beefy. Got a switch here, this will turn on my LEDs once it's powered. I got a 110 that's going to go out to be able to play with stuff, and then there's my 120 volt breaker panel that will power that. So anyway, hope that helps everybody in detail. If you have any questions, please comment below, and we will keep you updated with another video soon.